Well, TikTok, it's brought us all sorts of weird trends. Some useful, some not so useful. It's an app that is under fire and has even been in the political debate. According to many studies, and the results vary, Gen Z spends over 12 hours a week on TikTok. We're now seeing an interesting trend emerging, and it shouldn't be a huge surprise here. TikTok is now replacing Google as the preferred search engine for Gen Z.
There's a stat that 60% of Gen Zs use TikTok as a search engine more than Google.
I'm not surprised by that stat.
That Gen Z use TikTok more than they use Google as a search engine.
A Google executive cited that 40% of Gen Z uses social media apps like TikTok and Instagram over Google to get their news, educational content, anything that they need to search.
Apparently, 40% of Gen Z uses TikTok or Instagram for searching. That means millions of Gen Zers are getting information uncensored, unfact-checked, and on demand. For better or worse, this trend is here to stay. And it's not like Google was always the best, but the likelihood of you getting misinformation or bias on TikTok is pretty high. So let's talk about this. But before we talk about this, let's talk about how subscribing and dropping a like helps you stay informed and helps the channel out. Now, Google is getting kicked to the curb. It's a trend that has been happening for a few years now. Overall, Gen Z wants to get their information from users or influencers they trust. This has rapidly changed the way that Gen Z spends their money and occupies their time. In theory, this sounds like a great idea. Overall, you save yourself from doom scrolling on Google and you actually get an opinion and answer to your question. Over the past few years here, this trend has flooded TikTok with shopping content and sponsorship material. It's led to overconsumption on TikTok, which was talked about in a video we made about a month ago, so go watch it. TikTok, which was once a silly app where people showed their poor dancing skills, has now become a replacement to your parents' and grandparents' local newspaper. My undergrad was in journalism, and I was exposed to what journalism should be. It really should be the equivalent of writing a long college essay. The information isn't always going to be entertaining, nor is it going to be fun, but the information will be solid. The amount of hoops journalists have to go through is wild. Edit after edit, fact-checking this, fact-checking that. At the core, that's what journalism should be. Now, over the years, journalism has increasingly been politicized. But for this comparison, let's stick to your local reporter here. Honestly, it should not be a flashy job. On the other hand, a TikTok influencer or some just random Joe or Jane making a TikTok video about something newsworthy can become viral or at least reach thousands of people without any proper editing or oversight. And yeah, some of these information examples are outrageous and dumb, like in 2022 where teens were cooking chicken with a bottle of NyQuil. It was gross and stupid. Most people should be able to decipher what is stupid and what is a fact. But sometimes TikTok news can be a lot more divisive and dangerous. In such a polarized world, misinformation is spreading like a wildfire in any type of political or geopolitical situation you can think of. I'm not going to dive deep into this, but I'll let you swim through the foggy, stinky TikTok storm. But it's everywhere. Right, left, middle, purple. It's never ending. To me, this is one of the most dangerous things to our society, the rapid flush of bad info. According to a study from 2022, it revealed that 1 in 5 TikTok videos contain some form of misinformation or another. So next time you scroll through those TikTok videos, some of them could have lies in them. So how did we get here? Besides the huge shift to influencer content, Google might be to blame as well. Google, I know you own YouTube, but you've become a shell of your former self. Gen Z has taken notice. I mean, each time you search for something, you get a bunch of ads or sponsored articles, sponsored content. The process has become a huge chore for many, especially those with low attention spans. And those attention spans are rapidly declining, especially those among Gen Z. It's vital that these platforms are easy and simple for younger users to digest. Now, older generations, you're all probably good. Boomers and Gen Xers, y'all are safe. Millennials, most of you guys are still using Google, except those that have got a little bit of brain rot. Gen Z, I'm slowly losing hope for us. And well, Gen Alpha, you guys might just be cooked. Now, I'm exaggerating here. But the data suggests that younger generations are not using Google as religiously as older generations. The truth of the matter is Google can be seen as old and clunky. What is it, like 25 years old now? With lower attention spans, Google is becoming as exciting as a post office. Google, you've lost your mojo, and Gen Z is quick to rally against the big guys in support of creators like on TikTok to receive their information. Going on platforms like Reddit, we can see other people share similar opinions. A recent study suggested that if a post has many affiliated marketing links, it ranks higher in the search list of Google. So it's going to be on that top part of that search bar. It's then on average going to have a lower text quality. So those articles really aren't the best. They aren't of high quality. On top of that, Google has been on the side of advertisers for decades now. Not the consumer, but the advertiser. This means we're getting poorer search results in favor for articles that just generate money and clicks. It seems like online advertising has ruined a lot of things, right? I remember using Google way back in the day, maybe 15 years ago. I don't really remember seeing too many sponsored content or ads on there. And if they were there, they weren't as common as they are now. Today, every top Google result you click on will probably have some sort of ad or a paywall. Now, can you blame Gen Z for not wanting to use Google as frequently? We don't want to buy that random TV or that Nike sneaker. We're all broke. Trust me. Most of Gen Z is pretty broke. Now, I don't know the exact data on this figure, but you can definitely infer that hyper-personalization on TikTok might also lead to Gen Zers over-consuming and spending way more money than they should on random products. Gen Z trusts those influencers, and if those influencers are promoting a product, well, they're going to have to take out their credit card and buy those random items. Now, Google attempts on you taking out your credit card for random products, but trust me, it's not as effective as those TikTok algorithms. Now, finding news can also seem like a huge chore on Google. You seem to only be given the few news organizations where all the opinions are kind of like the same. Now, Gen Z really wasn't using TikTok for news until the Ukraine-Russian war. It really put a huge new spin on just how wars were seen and how people were informed by them. Now you're able to see what's going on the front lines hour by hour by a soldier picking up their smartphone and recording it and posting on TikTok. It's unprecedented. Now, the problem is it's very easy to make a fake war video. It's way harder to fact check a war video. Now, with the conflict in Gaza, I can only imagine the amount of fake information being spread on both sides of that conflict. For such complex topics like this, TikTok may not be the best place to get your info, but Gen Z doesn't care. They're still doing it. They will continue to consume that info. Now, during the first few months of the Ukraine war, the White House reached out to several of the top news TikTok influencers to spread their message concerning the Ukraine war. Now, whether you're for this war or against it, it should make you feel a bit uneasy knowing that our federal government can pay or influence TikTok's top creators to push out their message and their information. It's coming from the executive branch. I mean, how are you going to say no to that? Doesn't this completely take away the purpose of influencers sharing their opinions? This, in my opinion, brings an interesting future in terms of TikTok. It means that politicians are coming for Gen Z's attention, and they've been doing this recently. On top of that, the federal government is not afraid to plant messaging among some of those TikTok top influencers. Now, this shouldn't surprise us. Government has always played a role in media. Now, how much? Well, that's up to interpretation. So we have an interesting cataclysm here of raging factors leading to the decline in usage of Google among Gen Z. But one thing still remains true. Those in charge still want you to pay attention to them. And those in the business of making money are still going to try to find a way to sell you something. Now, it isn't all doom and gloom for TikTok. Honestly, some of the most raw and unbiased information can be found on TikTok. It's literally someone filming an event on their phone. There's no bias there. They're just filming it. You, the viewer, are then able to interpret it as you want to. It really does give the power back to us in a way that really hasn't been seen before. This has shined a spotlight on many different stories or events that have gone on in the world. To me, this is a huge plus. This is a net gain. A lot of times, users are then able to receive news that is specific to where they live. If you live in Denver, Colorado, you will probably be getting a specially tailored series of videos about things that are happening in Denver, Colorado. Similar to an app like YouTube, TikTok's algorithm is super smart. It gives users exactly what they want to see, or at least it should. But like we discussed earlier, TikTok can also create echo chambers. In essence, it's just giving you content that you want to see. It's relaying your biases that you already have. I think this has created a huge sense of tribalism among many different communities, especially those that are involved in Gen Z. It can be about serious topics like the war in Gaza, or even whether you're a Swiftie or not. So they go all over the place. Huge geopolitical ramifications, or who your favorite pop star is. Tribalism is everywhere among Gen Z, especially those that are using the internet pretty frequently. The fact that this generation is using Google less in favor of TikTok can only increase this tribalistic behavior. This is creating a dangerous situation, in my opinion. It deletes the idea of free speech. It destroys any form of debate. Basically, if you don't have the same opinion as others in your classroom or college campus, you then feel kind of exiled. TikTok helps drive this trend of division, especially in Gen Z. It goes both sides here of the debate. No matter what you believe, there's going to be some form of tribalism. In the long run, Gen Z's use of TikTok as a search engine instead of Google may have many negative consequences in our society. It may increase tribalism. As a result, decrease the need for truth to be discovered. I think it's going to lead to a more polarized world, and it's already kind of doing that. Us versus them. We can see this already play out in many different hot button topics. In the political arena, I think this will pave the way for leaders who are even more one-sided in their policies. What will the effects be on a society where a generation has had their views pigeonholed to just one idea? What does this look like in 2040, where Gen Z will start to gain greater influence? What will be the effect on people with decades of TikTok exposure? Finally, how will our education and our sphere of influence look when our information that we receive is given by just a select few of influencers with millions of followers? The difference this time is there's really no team of journalists, not really a form of check and balances if it's just one influencer. If you thought media was broken today, how's it going to look without that middleman of professionals? Instead, it's going to be led by a few dozen eccentric figures. But that's just the negative point of view. Maybe TikTok as a search engine will help pave the way for a more honest, independent world of journalism, free from the shackles of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. TikTok has already shown us some promise here. With the right amount of media literacy, viewers will continue to be on the front lines of any situation. Maybe Google won't be missed after all. But let me know what you think. Do you trust TikTok more than Google search? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you liked this content, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It helps us out, and it helps us continue making these awesome, informative videos. Thank you so much, and we'll be back with another video. Bye-bye.